I am Brad Keelor. He is Navneet Garg. Coming up next on Director's Cut, you're going to find out what's the most exciting thing to him about being our 2026 Monismith Lecturer.
See the curtains hanging in the window in the evening on a Friday night. Little light is shining through the window, lets me know everything's alright.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Director's Cut. My name is Brad Keelor. I'm the director of the Geo-Institute, and that is why we call this show Director's Cut every single week, except during the summer, and you can see that's when it is. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. And 1 week at the holidays, I sit down with a different Geo-Institute member who has stories to tell. Some of them are personal, some are professional, but all of them 100%. And as I like to say, we would do more than 100% if we could, but it's mathematically impossible. So 100% are fun. If you don't know anything about the Geo-Institute, after you watch this here interview today, use your favorite internet-connected device and head over to geoinstitute.org. There you will find out a great many things about us, dozens, hundreds, thousands perhaps, including that we are a technical society with about 12,000 members, most of whom are geotechnical engineers and or geologists, and that we are part of the American Society of Civil Engineers. If you like what you see today, and we're in Hawaiian shirts, we have summery backgrounds. How could you not like it? Click like, subscribe, and get notifications, and we'll let you know every time we post something to the YouTube channel. Coming to us today from Atlantic City, New Jersey, where he's a program manager with the Airport Tech R&D branch at the FAA Tech Center. It is Navneet Garg. Navneet, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Brad, and good morning.
So as people have seen, again, we're in the Hawaiian shirts. We've got these summery backgrounds. I'm celebrating West Virginia University's first appearance in the College World Series. This is our annual summer send-off. This is our final episode before we take our summer break, and we'll be back in the fall with more episodes. So we had to dress the part, and with the Monismith Lecture next week, we had to invite on Navneet to talk about that. We have 10 questions, the same way that we do every week. 2 of them are the same that we ask everybody. We start with one of those. Describe your job in 45 seconds.
So I'm a program manager in Airport Technology R&D branch of FAA, and I do research to update FAA's advisory circulars on airfield pavement design, material specifications, and construction.
That was so succinct. I have to ask you a question about the circulars, though, because, I mean, most federal agencies that do R&D, especially the mission ones, have similar things. FHWA has these. USGS has their bulletins. It's kind of the same across the board. How do you guys make sure that people in the community read these and take them seriously? You have a huge advantage that you're a federal agency and people kind of have to operate by your specs, but how do you make sure those get out into the community?
Well, good question. So a couple of ways. First of all, how they're or why they are important. So FAA Office of Airport manages airport improvement program. That's roughly about $3.5 billion a year program. And every penny of that program goes back into the improvements at airports. And about 90% of that funding goes towards airport pavements. And any airport that uses AIP funding has to follow FAA's advisory circulars. And the way we make it available for people is it's available on FAA's website. And we do periodic workshops with different conferences and with different professional organizations to share the information. And anytime there is a change coming in the advisory circular or a new version is out, it goes out for industry review. So that's how people know that, okay, a new advisory circular is coming and these are going to be the changes, and they have freedom to put their comments on it. And FAA goes through those comments.
There is nothing quite like a federal mandate to get people to do what you want. I like that. But that's a great answer. And we'll link to those circulars in the show notes below where you're watching this today. We're going to talk more about your work at the Tech Center as we get later on here. But first, we got to get to some of the fun questions. That's what Director's Cut is all about. You know, Nav, before COVID, I never appreciated how much food there was in the office and how much of a hierarchy there was between the good stuff and the stuff that I didn't like so much. Post-COVID, I've discovered that one, I got to bring my own food in because there aren't as many people there. And two, my threshold for things that I will eat in the office is a lot lower. Nav, what treat is your favorite to discover at the office?
I love dark chocolates and nuts, and that's what you'll find in my office. And that's my go-to snack. So I'll have Swiss chocolates, dark chocolate, 70% or higher cacao. And then,
excellent.
Yeah, and then some almonds, walnuts, pistachio, so whole range of nuts.
When we get a dark chocolate fan on the show, we have to talk a little bit more about this here. My daughter and I, no percentage is too high. Mm-hmm. And for my wife and my son, that is not true. They can handle up to maybe 60, and that's about it. Is there a threshold for you? Because there are a few, the Trader Joe's one at the checkout that's 85%. Pretty good. There are a few other varieties that are 90 and they're almost like gritty when you chew them, and I love that. Do you like those as well, or is that a little too much?
Yes, I do take 90%. And you know what it goes well with? Orange. Eat orange while you're eating the dark chocolate and you get great flavor right there.
I always say Director's Cut is, at its heart, a show about food, sports, and music. We're knocking that one out right now. That is fantastic. And if anybody, I mean, I'll just say this so you don't have to, Nav. If anybody's looking to celebrate Nav's Monismith Lecture this year and wants to get him a little bit of a gift, perhaps some dark chocolate would be appropriate. And you can share it with him after the lecture in Detroit at the end of the month. Oh, I love that. So the third question in the interview is always the research question. We're going to go back to the Tech Center, of course. And this is exciting to me because we talked before we started the interview. The Tech Center is maybe my favorite research facility in the U.S. I love it. You were instrumental in one of the labs that is currently open there, and this is what we're going to talk about. Can you tell us the story about how this got started, what the lab's capabilities are, and I don't know, maybe something fun about it?
Sure. So I started working with the FAA as a contractor in 1999, and around 2007 is when I became a federal employee. And in 2009, I gave an idea for a research facility to my management. And, generally how it works in FAA is we have a research advisory committee. It's a congressionally appointed committee that has stakeholders of aviation. And they generally recommend to FAA administrator what research activities to fund. So when I went to my management about this idea for a new facility, my manager said, well, I can give you 5 minutes to talk about it in the REDAC meeting. And I said, I'll be looking for close to $10 million. So 5 minutes looks like a little less. It's like looking at almost $2 million a minute kind of thing. And he said, well, if you can't get your idea across in 5 minutes, your idea is no good. So I said, it made sense. So I said, okay. So I think most time I have ever spent on making a presentation was on those 7 slides that I had to present in 5 minutes. And I completed my presentation in 5 minutes, but it generated a lot of questions. And that question and answer session lasted for almost 45 minutes. And at the end of that, the REDAC told my manager, well, let's give him the funding to build this facility. And in 2015, National Airport Payment and Materials Research Center became operational. And since then, I have been managing this facility.
That is amazing. For people who haven't been there, can you run down some of the basic capabilities of the center?
Yes. So our branch has 2 payment test facilities. One is National Airport Payment Test Facility that became operational in 1999. and it's an indoor test facility. We have a test vehicle that weighs about 1.2 million pounds and runs on rails, and you can simulate any current or future aircraft landing gear configuration. And we can apply up to 100,000-pound wheel loads on a 6-wheel landing gear. So when you look at the current commercial aircraft fleet, the maximum wheel load is around 72,000 pounds for an Airbus A350-900. So we still have a lot of capacity available if aircraft industry comes up with a heavier aircraft. And the new facility that we built in 2015 is meant for testing surface materials. New asphalt material technologies are coming out. So we needed capability to test these materials at much higher temperatures. So that is the reason why NAPMARC was built, and we have a heavy vehicle simulator where, again, we can simulate up to 100,000 pounds per wheel, but we can also heat the pavement or increase the pavement temperature to almost 180 degrees surface temperature. And that's during peak of winter. So your outside temperature could be -10, -15, but in the test chamber, it's about 160, 170, or the maximum it can go is about 180. And then we can also cool the pavements. So if you want to do fatigue testing, we have the ability of lowering the temperature down to almost 48 degrees, even during peak of summer.
That is amazing. And again, for our viewers, if you haven't been to Atlantic City to see this, I would tell anybody to go to the tech center. The Pavement Lab is amazing, but there are all these other super cool facilities there as well. What's your favorite, Nav, other than the ones that are near and dear to your heart, the 2 pavement ones?
Well, the fire test facility, because that's always fascinating, watching light fires and then taking those fires down and stuff. And of course, it relates to saving lives and property.
That's my favorite too. Again, as we were talking before the interview, it's just such a cool experience. You're out there in the middle of a field with a half a plane in front of you, and there is something cool, something primal about setting stuff on fire. But at the same time, the work that they're doing in tracking the particulate flow and stuff like that when these materials burn is absolutely amazing. You did a good job selling the tech center, and hopefully we get you some visitors out of this. And you never let that $2 million a minute thing, when you're doing consulting work, Nav, you need to bring that up, that, in my previous job, somebody was paying me $2 million a minute. I like that. So again, it's summertime. And one thing that happens in the summer is people take road trips. I know in our family, we always have a couple on the docket, even if they're not big, far away ones. We're always packing up and going somewhere during the summer. Nav, what is the most memorable road trip of your life?
Well, it was a trip I took in late 70s. So I think around 1977. We went to this place in the Himalayas. It's a religious shrine called Kedarnath. And you have paved road up to a certain point, and after that, it's all unpaved and one way. So they control the traffic. And the width of the road is maybe an inch more than the width of a bus axle. So we were in a Jeep, and I could see the bus in front of me. And I was thinking, is this bus even going to make it? Because the tire was so close to the edge. And then you go to a certain point, a place called Gaurikund. And from there is a steep climb of 14 kilometers to go to this place. And the altitude of this place was close to 12,000 feet above sea level. Yeah. So I think that's one trip that I can never forget. I was just wondering whether I'll come back alive from the trip or not.
So when you get on these, I think the one thing that you hope for when you're in a situation like that is that the driver's really experienced with that kind of terrain. Did you have a driver that knew what they were doing?
Yes. And there are drivers that are trained just for those routes. They know exactly what they're doing and how to take care of the traffic and stuff like that. And it rains a lot there too. So when you have an unpaved road and it's raining, it really makes things very difficult.
Wow. Now, have you been back to that site since, or was this your only trip there?
That was my only trip to that place. Yeah.
Because I'm wondering if that road situation still exists. I mean, 50 years is a long time, but
Yes, they have changed a lot. So now there are paved roads, and you don't have to worry like I had to at that time in 1977.
but again, just like your 2 million a minute situation, you're always able to tell everybody that you did that.
Yes.
And even when it was super difficult, that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's a good story. I like that. Another thing that people do in the summer when they've got more time, I mean, I've got all kinds of stuff I have to work on around the house this summer. I got to do the shutters, got to do a fence. So Nav, I had to ask you, what item in your whole life are you proudest that you were able to fix?
So, I'm not a very mechanically inclined person. So repairing stuff is like a little away from me. But one of the things that I'm really proud of is, I like to make pizza on the weekends, and I make my own dough. So I have this KitchenAid that I've been using for years, and it started giving me some problems. So I thought, okay, I'll have to throw it and get a new one. And I was talking with one of my technicians who runs a heavy vehicle simulator. And he said, Nav, you have already decided to throw it away, right? Why don't you give it a try? Open it up.
Yep.
And see, what's the worst that could happen? You'll have some grease on your hands and you'll still throw it away. But who knows, you might be able to fix it too. So I took his advice. I asked my daughter to make a video as I was unassembling or disassembling my KitchenAid. And, believe it or not, I put it together. It gave me 3 additional years.
Wow.
So that's something I'm really proud of. And that
What'd you
actually
do?
gave me a little more confidence. And, now I don't feel that scared to try out things.
So the first thing I have to ask, where's the video? Did you post this somewhere that everybody can see?
No.
Because that is fantastic. Now, the second question is related to the KitchenAid. I feel like a 90-year-old man when I say this. We had to replace ours maybe 4 years ago. I feel like it's not the same quality as the old one. The bowl is lighter. It doesn't latch in as well. The thing doesn't lock as solidly as it did. I mean, those things are super durable. You must have loved this thing.
Oh, yes. And after 3 years, I got another one of the same model. So.
And final follow-up question here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give everybody some pizza ideas. What's your favorite pizza that you make at home?
Well, so, when I make my crust, I use different grains and I make a flour out of them, like sesame seed, flax seeds, and there are some millets that I add to the pizza dough and oats. And then my toppings, I generally flavor them with some Indian spices. So a little unique taste,
That is fantastic. So yeah, again, back to the food. We could go there, I feel like, on almost every question. That's fantastic. Now, I will tell you too, if you ever need something bigger to make the dough, I feel like all you need to do is stop by a geotech lab. You're gonna make sure you want to clean everything thoroughly before you put any food on it.
Yep.
But the geotech community has you covered for any of your dough kneading needs. The second question that we ask everybody when they come on Director's Cut is their ASCE history, how they first got involved. And usually I ask about GI too. Nav, you don't have to go in that direction because I know you've been more active in T&DI over the years, but how did you first get involved in ASCE, and what's been the story of your involvement over the years?
So, when I was a graduate student, early 90s, that's when I joined ASCE as a student member. So I have been involved with the ASCE since like 1992. And, once I graduated, started my work, I became a full member. And then later on, I ended up becoming the chair of Airfield Payments Committee for T&DI. And also for last 2 years, I've been on the board of governors of TNDI. So, and like when you in geotechnical engineering, when I started my career as a grad student in IIT Chicago, I was doing my master's degree in geotechnical engineering. And in fact, I was a teaching assistant for the soil mechanics lab at IIT. And since then, I've been working with aggregates and stone. So that's my aggregates and soil. So that's the connection with the geotech part. And ASCE gives you an opportunity to select another institute other than your prime institute. So I have TNDI as my primary and GI as my secondary institute.
We never lose anybody in the geotech world. That brings tears to my eyes. Now I want to ask a little bit about your service within technical committees then. I mean, what has been the most valuable thing for you in being involved? And we can talk specifically about the ASCE committees here, but I'm sure you're active in TRB as well. What's been the most valuable thing about your technical committee involvement?
Well, when I took over as the chair of Airfield Payment Committee, we were during pandemic time. And if you look generally, the payments committee would have meeting at TRB and another meeting during a conference, payments conference. So I had to think like, how do I keep members involved during pandemic? So I started this program of bringing in speakers from research, academia, industry to talk about an issue. So someone from industry would come up with an issue and give a little talk on that. And then I would try to bring people who are working from research side into that. So I think that was pretty good experience for me, because prior to that, I had never been in any leadership kind of position. So never knew whether, I'll be good at that or not. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence.
That's a great answer. And so our pitch to our viewers today is going to be about technical committee involvement. I always tell people there are two criteria for joining a technical committee within ASCE. You have to be interested in the topic and you have to be a human being. And as long as you meet those two criteria, they're probably going to have you. And you can get as involved or not involved as you want. If you want to attend the meetings and not ever say anything, you can. You can move up into committee leadership roles the way you did, Nav. It's a fantastic opportunity that I think everybody should take advantage of, and especially for our practitioner community. We need you. We'd love to have you there. So you can find more info about the GI ones at geo-institute.org, and we'll put a link in the show notes for TNDI technical committee information as well. We can do a little recruiting while we're at it here. I wanted to ask this question too, and you've got a good story for this. It sounds like not when you were a kid, but a little later on in life. Did you have a nickname as a kid? And does anyone still call you that?
So I had two nicknames. One in my childhood, my parents used to call me Bittu, Bittoo. And my mother and my childhood friends still call me with that name.
Oh, wow.
So that's the childhood part. And then when I joined University of Illinois for my doctoral program, my advisor, Professor Marshall Thompson, said, hey, we'll have to come up with a name for you. Navneet is too big. So I said, okay, can call me Garg. And he said, no, that's your family name, so we can't call you that. So he says, how does Nav sound? And I said, that's fine with me. And since 1993, that's what most of the people in professional community call me, as Nav.
So you have to explain to everybody the significance of the Bittu nickname. Where does it come from? And I guess that's the big question.
Well, so you won't find that word in a dictionary or anything, but the common meaning for that name is dear child.
I like that. So it's a different version of Miho or Miha. I like that.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Oh, man. We have to talk a little bit, too, about your time at the University of Illinois. It's where you got your PhD. The civil engineering history there is We'll call it rich. I think that's
Yes.
probably the right word. And it's in front of you everywhere you go. Names on buildings, photographs. I just, Ralph Peck's name still coming out of the mouths of people every day, it feels like. Nav, what do you remember most fondly about your time in Urbana-Champaign?
Well, I can't pinpoint any single event, but all my time at University of Illinois, it was great, memorable. I had great professors, very nice human beings. I'm still in touch with them. We still talk. And of course, great set of friends, my office mates, one of my office mates and me, we even planned about opening a Indo-Italian restaurant once we get bored with pavements part. And then I remember like when I completed my PhD, I had my thesis committee professor sign on my thesis form. And my advisor said he was not going to sign on my form till I took a golf class. And he had been, asking me to learn golf as, I was working with him. And I really like to play golf on computer. So he said, no, it's no fun. You have to go out and play. And so when he refused to sign on my form, he said, I don't know what your problem is. I'm paying for it. All you have to do is go out and play. So the last class I took in my doctoral program was a golf class, and I ended up with a A- grade. It's on my transcript. And I loved it. And for next 1 year, I was there as a postdoc, played a lot of golf with my office mates. So.
And are you still golfing today?
No, none of my friends here play golf, and both my kids went into tennis. So tennis became the sport that I played most here.
That'll pry you away. Now, another question I like to ask. What's the craziest place that someone has ever yelled ILL at you? Do you remember one? Tell me you guys do this in the office. You have to, just to torment everybody else, right?
Actually, I can't remember of any time that someone yelled at. Yeah.
You're going to have to start doing it every time you see the bumper sticker or whatever, and see if you that's what I didn't even go there, and I like doing it just to see people's reactions. Well, my favorite, I was out running one day and I was crossing like at an grade one. So I'm crossing the street and I see an Illinois license plate bracket on the car that just passed by. And so I yell at ILL. The guy is moving again, sticks his head out the window to yell back INI, and I loved that. It was fantastic.
I do have a sticker on my car, though.
So you're gonna get it. It's gonna happen eventually.
Yeah.
One of those New Jersey alums is gonna find you, and they're gonna yell at you. So, again, summertime, and another question that I love to ask everybody right before we take our summer break is to think back throughout their entire life and think about nostalgia, those great summertime memories that you have. Nav, what is your favorite summer memory of all time?
2022, after 3 years of pandemic, I went to India to visit my family and got with my parents, and my brother's family came, and we all took a road trip to go into the mountains. And the week we spent there in a resort, I think was great, spending time with family, because we are so far away from India. So I think that's my most memorable summertime memory.
And all the roads were paved?
These were all paved. So we went up to an altitude of like 9,000 feet above sea level.
Wow.
And we did some hiking there, and the weather was beautiful, didn't rain and stuff. So it was nice. Beautiful views of snow-capped mountains and stuff.
Oh, that is fantastic. And I get like having it be right at the end of COVID. I mean, excuse me, those 22 memories are amazing, because even just getting out to do something felt like such a big deal. And being able to reconnect like that with people. Had you seen family members since COVID? I mean, that was probably the first time, right?
Yes. So that we generally used to go every alternate year. And then my parents used to visit here. But then that COVID time, that was the longest time because the last trip we took was 2018. So
Wow.
it was like 4 years time before we got to reconnect. And since then, we have been going almost every year. And in fact, I'll be going in another 3 weeks,
Fantastic.
right after payments conference. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So the question that we teased at the beginning is the Monismith Lecture. We're very fortunate in the Geo-Institute. We've got 5 named lectures. They're all a big deal. The Monismith Lecture, of course, named after Carl Monismith, Berkeley legend, who just passed away in 2025. It's our pavement engineering lecture. A lot of times we have a T&DI member that gets it. Sometimes it's somebody who's more active in GI. We love everybody. We're happy to have everybody involved. You're, I believe, the 12th Monismith Lecture now. What was your initial reaction when you heard you'd been selected to give this year's lecture?
Well, shocked and surprised, pleasantly shocked and surprised, because when you look at the previous 11, these are all legends and everyone coming from academia with huge research and teaching background. And, I'll be the first person to receive this award from public sector, from a government organization. So, yeah, looking forward to it,
So we try after the lecture to get all the previous lectures up on stage for a photo. If you look at the list, another thing you might notice about it, to go back to an earlier topic we had, is there are a lot of people who are going to have that little orange block eye on their badges. I think maybe during the lecture would be a great time to yell out ILL, Nav, if you're looking for a chance. I mean, especially for you, your advisor was one of the first Monismith lecturers. How do you feel that direct lineage when you get asked to do something like this, or when you get selected to do something like this? And how does that make you feel? It's got to be great.
Feels great, but also puts more pressure on you, right?
Okay, that's fair. Now, give everybody, in 30 seconds, give everybody a little teaser what your lecture topic is going to be.
So when you look at commercial aircraft industry, what they're trying to do is increase the range of the aircraft while keeping cost of per passenger per mile low. So what happens is you end up with aircraft with higher gross weight, higher wheel loads, and higher tire pressures. And when you look at the current design procedures, the material properties are not given that much importance in pavement design and evaluation. And most of the projects that generally happen on airports are rehabilitation. So it is very important to know what's the remaining life of the pavement structure. And you can only do that if you have more advanced material characterization, laboratory test, and then a way of including those test results into your evaluation and design procedure. So that's what I'll be talking about, of what we are doing, looking at advanced material characterization and evaluation tools for taking care of the new generation aircraft.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So that 5-minute summary that you did way back in the day did you good, because that was a really good quick synopsis of what you're going to talk about in the lecture. Of course, Nav is our 2026 Carl L. Monismith Lecturer. You can catch it live in person at the Pavements and ICTD conference in Detroit at the end of the month. If you're not going to be with us, you can watch the live stream. We're going to have a live stream. It'll be about 3 p.m. on that afternoon of June 30th. You can register at the GI Eventbrite page, and we'll send you reminders. We'll make sure you're there. Of course, it's free to sign up for the live stream. And if you're watching this after Nav gives the lecture, just go to our YouTube channel and you'll be able to watch it there until some lunatic shuts down Google and YouTube at some point in the future, which seems inevitable at this point. But we're looking forward to the lecture. Nav, this was fantastic. Thanks for all the great answers today and walking us through everything, and we're really looking forward to the lecture. I hope this was a good time.
It was a great experience, great. Enjoyed doing this with you.
And
Like
for
your style.
getting all dressed up for summer. I've got the rigs on my Hawaiian shirt here. So we have to tell everybody again, this is the final episode of Director's Cut for the first half of our season 7. We'll be back in September, the week of Labor Day, with our annual Director's Cut extravaganza, 4 episodes in 4 days, the same way that we always do. You're going to want to be around for that. In the meantime, you can binge watch all the old episodes on the YouTube channel. You can check out the audio versions on iTunes Music or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to fill your summer. Take it to the beach, the mountains, wherever you're going to go. We got a lot of content for you. So for all of our viewers out there, have an amazing summer, and we will see you in the fall with brand new episodes of Director's Cut. Into more, but I mean, for you, what was the biggest shocker for you?
Well, the food, like, I was vegetarian, and I remember like eating a pizza at someone's place, and I asked, well, what's these red circles? And they said pepperoni. So, for me, pepper was like some kind of chili or pepper, like I didn't know that it's actually made from pork and stuff. So first time I ate it, till someone told me that, oh, that's meat actually, and this is what it is. And then I was in a restaurant and I saw in the menu buffalo wings. And I'm thinking, like, what kind of buffalo has wings?
Very logical.
So